What's up, everybody? I'm adjusting my camera so you can see my face. We are live with the NFL recap show. We are going to be talking about the NFC and AFC East divisions today. And we will start with the NFC East because, well, I feel like that's pretty much what everybody wants to hear anyway.
Right, the best division in football.
Yeah. I was gonna say I know a couple of Bills fans. I know a couple of well, everybody used to be a Patriot fan, and then I know a couple of Dolphins fans. I don't know anybody likes the Jets or willing to admit that. But for some reason, it seems like no matter how much you lose in the NFC East, you still retain your fans.
That is true. We're all loyal fan bases, even if it's often diluted fan bases.
You're all stuck in a vicious cycle of abuse.
That's actually a perfect description.
It's definitely a toxic cycle. All right, so I put the teams in order of where I think they would finish. Okay. And I think we were both on board with the Eagles.
I'm assuming we're gonna have the same order. We'll see what happens. But yeah, we are agreed at least on the first place team.
All right, so we'll talk the Eagles. So Eagles, I'll be honest, this is a gambling aspect. Nobody has ever won the division back-to-back years in, like, what did you say? It was like 2002 or something like that?
If I'm remembering right, the Eagles went 03-04.
Okay.
Or they might have even been 4 in a row back then because those Eagles teams were just constantly good.
Yeah.
And then,
so
I think since the Eagles went to the Super Bowl the first time with McNabb, there has not been a repeat champion. So since the Patriots played the Eagles with Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens on the Eagles, that was the last time a team has repeated as champions of this division. So
it has been a very, very, very long time. And with that in mind, I was like, look, take the Cowboys out by default because they won last year. If I got to pick between the Eagles, the Commandos, and the Giants, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. And the Eagles won the offseason. I think everybody would agree with that. The Eagles won the offseason.
And as far as I know, no one they signed called the team a dream team. So that's a great start right there.
I am not an NFC hater. I'm an NFC East hater. Clarify that, Richard. I do not hate the NFC. I just hate this division. But I'm actually high on the Eagles this year, or optimistic. I'll put it that way. I'm optimistic with the Eagles this year. I actually thought their schedule wasn't that tough. If you look at their hardest out of division games, you might could make an argument the Titans should be in the chill out, man. You can't bully me on my own podcast, Richard. If you look at their out of division games, you can make an argument the Titans probably should be in the top 3. But I highlighted the first game was at the Cardinals, then they host the Packers, and then they're at the Colts. Was the 3 games that I thought were their toughest. And then the Cardinals game is, I think, the 5th game of the year, so they won't even have Hopkins. So that technically won't count. That's actually a break for them. What are your expectations for the Eagles this year?
I mean, pretty high. I don't know exactly how far I think they'll go in the playoffs. I think I still have enough questions about Jalen Hurts. I mean, we all watched the playoff game last year. That did not go well against a smart defensive coordinator. But, I mean, offensively, I think he's the only big question mark I have. I think this is possibly the best offensive line in football. You're adding A.J. Brown. So now I think it's perfect. You got Brown as your 1. You got Devonta Smith as the 2. Dallas Goedert led all tight ends in yards per route run last year, so he's good. I mean, if you have questions about Miles Sanders, Kenneth Gainwell's pretty good. So it's just if Hurts takes his game up a level, he doesn't have to be a top 5 guy or anything. Again, we're talking about a division where I think 2 teams are going to be pretty bad, and the Cowboys are the Cowboys. So if he can just be in that 10 to 15 range, just take what's there, make some plays with your legs. I think the offense can be really good. And then, defensively, I mean, you got Slay, James Bradbury, who the Giants had to cut for cap reasons. He's now the number 2, which I think is actually his proper role defensively as a cornerback. I think this is like an 11-win team because, again, like you said, the schedule is extremely easy. Football Outsiders has it projected as the easiest schedule in the NFL. The whole division gets to play the AFC South, which is probably the worst division in football. So I think 10 wins is kind of the floor for this team unless something goes terribly wrong. And I wouldn't be shocked if they even, hit that 12 range.
So I'm not sure if I would give them 12 wins, but their schedule is pretty easy.
It's like a best case, but I think it's
best case. That's fine. That's fine. I mean, for real, like the schedule is pretty easy. What did I say down here? Okay, I did ask how far can the offense go with Hurts.
Yeah, that's the whole question. I think probably the whole team.
Yeah, and for me, it was just all about just making the easy plays.
Yeah,
as long as he just don't turn the ball over, don't stall drives through poor decision making. Allow the people around you, put them in positions to make plays. Like you got playmakers for sure now in the aerial game. Get them the ball and let them work. The running backs stay hurt because y'all had to use them so much, but hopefully he gets a little bit of a break this year. Hopefully. And then what I'm most excited about seeing with them is their defense. And what kind of defense will they be? Will they be a turnover-based defense? Will they force turnovers and be aggressive? Will they sit back and kind of allow just their front 4 to 5 do what they do up front? It's just kind of like I want to see what Jordan Davis does, obviously. And I want to see what kind of impact Dean makes, because those are two guys that I felt like were like instant like impact players if they're in the right system. So I need to see a little bit before I'm like 100% in. But like I said, from a base level of skepticism, I think you're in the right ballpark if you got the Eagles in the top 2 in the division. There's not a lot there.
No, I think there's no question this should be at least the top 2 team in this division. And then, I mean, another interesting thing, as a Giants fan, I've gotten very used to, hopefully this is over for me now, but used to just keeping track of coordinators and who are potential head coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Gannon, for the defensive coordinator, he actually got some hype last year. I know he had some interviews, which I don't even think the defense was that great yet. So if he can improve on that, he could be a head coaching candidate. And then Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator, he was calling plays for the Chargers, Justin Herbert's rookie year, which obviously went really well. And then last year you saw the change where he took over play calling about midway through the season. It became a much more run-oriented offense, which I think made sense with who they were at the time. And so I think that's a guy where if he can take Hurts to the level where this team can win 11 or 12 games, he's going to be up there at the top of people's head coaching list next year. So
you're just talking because you want them. Giants.
Now I'm hoping we're done. Dayball's the answer. Let's go.
Nah. Actually, you know what? That might change. I forgot he was the coach.
That's right. There's actual hope now. Not this season, probably, but 2 or 3 years from now.
All right, you're a second team in the NFC East.
I mean, I'm not that big of a hater. It's the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, cool. That's fine. I was just gonna say, just making sure. Cowboys. I
mean, I picked them to win the division last year, but by the time the season rolled around, I was like, it's Dallas. So I'm a realist.
It doesn't matter what I say about Dallas. Hollow's gonna like twist it to his favor, so he can make it seem like I'm a hater. I really haven't been a big Dallas hater. I troll a couple people in their fan base, but for the most part, anything I've ever said about Dallas has been fair assessments. Like I don't feel like I've been too critical or that I'm hating. Amari Cooper was average at best. I don't care what nobody says. I'm sorry. Well,
that would be good news now since he's gone.
Your biggest issue is that your coaching staff doesn't understand how to call plays. They don't understand how to manage games. And a lot of reason why they lose in the playoffs. Like in the playoffs, you have to have a combination of luck and coaching and obviously players to execute. I feel like Dallas has the players to execute. I don't think Dak Zeke and the rest of the team has played significant. Like they haven't played that bad. They haven't had like their Aaron Rodgers type bad games, and we give Aaron Rodgers a break all the time. I just think a lot of it comes down to the coaching, and it's just not there. It wasn't there with Garrett. I don't think it's there with McCarthy. There's been plenty of little things, subtle things, like when to take a timeout, when to run the clock. You know what I'm saying? Like little subtle things that have allow games to slip away, and it just always seems to rear its head in the postseason. It just doesn't make any sense that this team has struggled like they have in the postseason when they've literally had a solid core of a top 10 quarterback, and up until last year, maybe the year before, Zeke was a top 10 running back. Like they came in as rookies balling.
That part doesn't matter, as we
know. No, that's what y'all say, but I'm just. Since he hasn't been in his top form,
how many games did the Panthers win in the playoffs when Christian McCaffrey was at his best?
Christian McCaffrey is not Ezekiel Elliott when it comes to carrying the load. We've long discussed that.
How many games did the Vikings win in the playoffs with Adrian Peterson throughout his career?
I don't know, but
Doesn't matter.
I was gonna say I know they were happy to see Dalvin Cook's ass come back because he ran for like 200 yards a game when he did come back. I think it just depends. And if we're being honest, the damn Cowboys offense was pretty much feed Zeke and let's keep it simple for that.
I mean, that rookie year it was. Yeah. No, you're right.
They don't even now they don't stretch the field like you would think they would to make you feel like they don't need a running back that can move the chains. Like what is the offensive identity for Dallas? I think that's the biggest question that needs to be answered this year. Like we know statistically they're a top 5 offense in certain stats and things like that. But when it comes to efficiency, which I'm real big on, and I always ask this question, when are they going to finish drives consistently in big games, like games that really matter? The games that they've lost in the playoffs typically are because they can't put the ball in the end zone. Like in order to be an elite team, you have to score touchdowns, not just score. You have to score touchdowns. So, I mean, we need more. Like the fan base obviously wants more. I feel like that's the only thing holding them back right now is just the efficiency of it all. And I hate to say it because I know you're going to get giddy about this, but a lot of that efficiency comes with analytics, and they don't have anybody who understands that. Like, he's an idiot. Like that whole staff, they all just seem like idiots. I don't think they really get the concept of how analytics should be applied to today's game. Like they just, like I was telling somebody, anytime a coach says they're using analytics or they have to tell you that a decision that they made was based on analytics, 90% of the time they're not using it right, or they don't know what the fuck analytics is. So
I mean, McCarthy admitted to just lying about like.
I know, which makes it even worse.
But
makes it even worse.
I mean, a couple interesting things about this team is, they led the league in turnovers forced, which I would expect that to take a step back. I think my prediction would be that Trayvon Diggs all-pro selection last year is going to look pretty foolish this season.
I hate when we're on the same page.
But he doesn't intercept a bunch of passes and he just gets burned a lot. So that's going to take a step back. That's going to hurt the defense. The thing that they should be better at, though, because, I mean, year to year, this usually doesn't stay the same much like turnovers, is penalties. This is the most penalized team in the NFL. If they're the most penalized team in the NFL again, Mike McCarthy 100% has to be fired because there's no reason that should happen in back-to-back seasons. So I expect this team to commit less penalties but force less turnovers. I'd rather have a bunch of turnovers and deal with penalties. So I think overall, that's probably a trade you don't want to make. So that's one of the reasons I think this team takes a slight step back. Their schedule, again, though, is also very easy. It's almost as easy as the Eagles. They're going to be in a very good spot to get a wild card.
Yeah, I mean, one of my key points was asking, will we see defensive regression mainly in the secondary? Yeah. I mean, I think it's just inevitable. And it's like every player, man. Like, I mean, Diggs isn't any exception to the rule. I mean, he's good, but like all-time greats, you don't really see a lot of regression. But people who are good and have like advanced metrics that kind of say, well, he's not the cover guy that you think he is. He's got amazing ball skills and he's got great hands for a DB, and his brother is obviously Stefan Diggs. So I'm pretty sure they've done plenty of catching and things like that. So I'm not too worried about him getting interceptions if he's challenged. A lot of what I'm concerned about is his ability to cover without getting penalized man to man. I feel like there's going to be a lot more attention on him this year, and if he doesn't develop a little bit more physicality to his coverage ability, I think he will struggle some in this league or even in this division, because you would anticipate Brown's a big guy. He's physical. He's going to be a tough cover. Terry might actually have somebody that'll throw him the ball every now and then, even if he's throwing it to the other team multiple times too. And then I guess you guys have Saquon. So
that's right.
So Cowboys, again, even with all that said, I still think they're equally as talented as the Eagles, equally as capable. But again, I think
the Eagles are ahead in talent now. I think Dallas lost some talent. I think the Eagles brought in talent. Who's got the better receiving core? I'd say it's the Eagles now. Who's got the better offensive line? I think it's the Eagles now.
O-line.
Probably
I'm still loyal to the Cowboys O-line.
The two best guys are old though, and that gives me. I'm just a little worried. They've been banged up the last few years.
They
were pretty healthy last season, which was a key difference. But they go back to missing. Tyron Smith misses 5 games. 2 and 3. That can be the difference sometimes.
That can be. Dallas doesn't have the depth that.
No, exactly.
Yeah, they're definitely top heavy. Who has the better quarterback is really the question, though. Well, that's Dallas, and that's why I'll keep picking them. That's the most important position, and they have a quarterback that's leaps and bounds better than everybody else in that division. So as long as Dak Prescott stays upright, they'll always be contenders to win the division, and they'll always be playoff bound. But that's not good enough.
So if the Eagles and Cowboys swapped coaching staffs, we would be swapping our pick here, right?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, and I'm all about Bob Ross. I joked him about the pretty flowers and stuff like that.
They were so angry. I didn't go in the opposite direction of you right at that moment.
I know they were balling, man. I was like,
we'll see. And then I was like, damn it, I should have said this is going to work out great.
It was very.
I could have just molded that over you. That would have been great.
Whatever works. I mean, it worked better than Dan Campbell stuff. Hold on. Started saying Eagles are better in certain positions than the Cowboys, and he joins. I mean, Ronnie's a realistic Cowboys fan, man. I think he would also say on paper and going into this season, he's more optimistic about the Eagles than the Cowboys, and a lot of that is because of McCarthy. So, I didn't take notes or really care to take notes about the next two teams. I've got arrows pointing to the Commandos and the Giants because it doesn't really matter. You can switch them back and forth. They're both going to suck. I am looking for Washington Commander fans who think that they're going to win at least 9 games. I need you guys to come around. I mean, we could do $1 bets, $100 bets. We could do anything. I want to see it. We did have somebody in our group that was talking about that. I make money off of Washington fan every year, so I just need one of you guys so I can just point out that our guy Ron Rivera. I love Riverboat. I'm always making fun of him and always supporting his wild, inexplicable decisions, but he's not a winning coach, man. He's just not. And this is a franchise that no matter how many times he plugs in holes with his leadership and his toughness, this ship is sinking. And he's now got a captain that is he's Jack Sparrow of quarterbacks. He's a fool, man. And I hate to say that because I was a big Wentz guy. And everybody who knows me knows I hyped him up when he came out of North Dakota State, and that 2 years, maybe a year and some change, when he was doing good with the Eagles. I was all aboard. But I will admit that the writing's on the wall, and I don't know which direction they're going to go as a team, but I'm pretty sure it'll be towards the bottom of the league and the division.
All right, so let me give it a quick, because I mean it should be quick.
Yeah.
Here's the argument for Washington potentially winning 9 games. So I mean it's pretty simple. Their defense went from one of the better defenses in the NFL in 2020 to not very good last year. Normally teams tend to rebound or collapse one way or the other. That's why I think Dallas drops back a little bit this year. Washington should improve. This should be, I would say, an above average defense this season. Carson Wentz, just be better than Heineke. That's a really low bar. It should be achievable. Then they had, again, according to outsiders, the toughest schedule in the league last year. They're projected to have the second easiest to the Eagles schedule this year. Because again, they're playing a third place schedule. They get the Giants twice. That's always helpful. And then everyone in the division gets the AFC South, the worst division in football. So if everything breaks right, I could see 9. Do I think that'll happen? Absolutely not. I'm with you. I think the question is, does Carson Wentz totally implode? If he does, this is probably the worst team in the division. If he doesn't, I think they end up around where they were last year. This is like a 7-10 win, maybe 6-11 team, and they probably edge out the Giants for third place.
There's no way he doesn't implode. You got to be worried about the offensive line. Like, who's blocking for him? He's not the most sturdy quarterback. He's going to get hit a lot. That's one.
Right. There's a reasonable, well, probably more than reasonable, but when you count injuries, chance that we're going to see Sam Howell start some games. And if Sam Howell's starting games,
ain't he hurt too?
Is he hurt too? That's a great.
That was Coral. One of them's hurt already.
Coral's the one.
Okay.
He's out for the season, I believe. But Sam Howell, we might see him. And again, if we see him, this is a guy they drafted in the 5th round. This is not like, oh, we're confident this is the dude.
Are you kidding me? The quarterbacks that Washington take late in drafts always give Tom Brady fits, apparently, and it makes them legends.
I mean, hey, Kirk Cousins is still raking it in on the Vikings. So maybe Sam Howell's the next Kirk Cousins. But I think this team probably clocks in 6-7 wins. Do we have the over-unders for this division?
You know what? I didn't do that, which is wild because I usually do that. Let me look. I'm pretty sure Washington is nowhere near like 8 games, but who knows? Let me double check real quick. Give me a second to pull that up.
Based on what I've seen the Giants at, I can tell you again, I can see a way the Giants get to 7-8 wins. But if they're at 7, which is the last place I heard the Giants were, I would slam that under, because anytime you're trying to talk yourself into, here's my team's absolute best case scenario, it doesn't, unless you're a Bengals fan last year, it doesn't happen.
All right, regular season wins. We already did. The Cowboys were at 10.5.
Under.
Yeah, the under is
not a hard under, because again, easy schedule. It could happen, but I think this team falls back a little. So I think they're a 9-10 win team.
Cowboys, and then the Eagles.
I think theirs is 9.5.
Why did they not? Maybe it's Washington's 7.5.
Yeah, give me the under.
Yeah. There goes the Eagles at the very bottom, 9.5.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite of the 3 so far.
They're probably, yeah. And Richard just said 9.5. Thanks, Richard. I was gonna say they probably keep changing it just based off of like what's going on with the other teams in the division. Because I mean, we are all victims of what we see in front of us. Yeah, and preseason wise, it don't really look that good for anybody in that division, really, except for the Eagles. And 9.5 seems fair. I think that's a good over.
One thing we didn't mention about Hurts is he is 100% playing for his job, because the Eagles have 2 first-round picks next year. So if anything goes wrong, they're ready to reload and replace him. So this is it.
See, I'm not gonna say what I want to say because I'll come off like a hater. So I'm rooting for you, Mr. Hurts. I am. I don't even know. Oh no. Who do they have somebody else's pick?
I believe it was, I want to say the Saints. Someone made a trade with them where they got.
And I feel like if we were thinking off the top of our head of teams that would finish towards the bottom of the league this year, The only one I think that would be looking for a quarterback is probably the Lions.
Well, I mean, if the Giants end up at the bottom, they're looking for a quarterback for sure. So
Yeah, right. I was gonna say, oh yeah, you said, oh yeah, the Giants. That's right.
There's 3 quarterbacks in this division who are 100% playing for their futures in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
Like Dak is safe. Everyone else,
yeah, Dak is straight.
Don't mess it up.
Straight. Yeah, I like the unders on everybody except for the Eagles on that one, and the Giants are at 7.5. Obviously, you want to take way under.
Too high.
Way under.
At least a game too high. At minimum.
3 games too high.
Like, honestly, the only way I'd be like, you know what, I might do it. It would have to be 5.5 or under. There's absolutely no way I would say 7.5.
I legit didn't write down any notes for the Giants or the Commanders. I wrote down notes I even wrote down a little bit for the Jets, but I refused to write anything down for the Giants and the Commanders because they're just trash. This division's trash. Here you go, Richard. Here I go on my rant. The division's trash. The fans are generally trash. I don't got no problems with Philly fans generally either. Honestly, Dallas fans, I don't really have problems with them either. Giants fans, I only like 3 of y'all. Don't even get me started on Washington fans. Like every last one of you, from the first generation of Redskin fan to the 7th generation of Commander fan, you guys are worthless. I wish you would go away. I wish they would just disband the team. Snyder can sell it, blow up the stadium, do whatever you got to do, and just go away. Like they haven't been good since 91, 92. I'm not counting RG3. I'm not counting that crap. My favorite highlight of Washington is their is the preseason fight with was it Stephen Davis and Michael Westbrook or something like that. That's my favorite highlight. Like there's absolutely they contribute nothing to football. Nothing to football. The fans contribute nothing to conversations about football. If you had a group of people talking about football and a Washington fan came up, it is guaranteed they're going to say some dumb shit and make you not want to talk to them again. Like they're just worthless. Franchise fans, merchandise, all of it. Just get rid of it. If we could just do Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants, I'd be happy with that. I that's why I call them the Commandos, because I don't want to call them by any name. They're trash. Just get out of here.
One of my favorite memories of the Washington was this must have been late 90s, early 2000s. They started 0-5 and then won 5 straight, and everyone got excited. They're on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Finish 8-8 as they're supposed to. Like that's Washington. But they might tease you that they'll be good, but they're going to finish 8 wins, 6 wins, somewhere in there every year.
My man, J.R. Mercer was like, what did he said something, and I commented, and he was like, you guys didn't win the Super Bowl either. Like, is that really the standard? Like, Washington fans, I hear that a lot from them too when they talk to other teams and everything. Well, you didn't get to the Super Bowl. You're sitting on the couch like us. There's a difference between sitting on the couch from the start of the season and sitting on the couch 19 weeks in. Like that it's, come on, man.
I mean, it's also a weird criticism at this point because every other team in the division has won a Super Bowl more
except for them.
Washington. Yeah. Like even like Cowboys, everyone's like, you haven't won anything since the 90s. Well, I mean, they won 3 Super Bowls after the last time Washington.
I can recount the Cowboys' last Super Bowl. I was barely old enough to be up that late when the Redskins won.
I literally don't remember.
You probably were not
any Washington or Cowboys Super Bowl because the first one I remember watching was the Elway one against the Packers. So that's the first one I remember. The rest, as far as I'm concerned, they don't exist except for the 2 Parcells Giants Super Bowls.
Jerry Cobb, you're lucky. You're my friend, and you're lucky that I can't actually kick you from the chat. Anyway.
All right, well, let me talk about my Giants a little bit here.
Yeah, go ahead and tell us some bullshit.
So 7.5 is crazy. Again, let's just be clear on that.
Okay, 7.5 is crazy.
Good news for the Giants. Like Washington, going from an extremely difficult schedule to a very easy one. So again, the whole division has an easy schedule, but the Giants' 3 games that they don't have in common with the rest of the division are Carolina at home, Chicago at home, and at Seattle. I guess at Seattle's hard because it's Seattle still, But
at Seattle's hard because you're the Giants.
But yeah, but those are, you could argue, what are the 3 worst teams in the rest of the NFC outside this division? You could argue it's those 3 teams.
That's true. And
So
I bet you find a way to lose 2 of those games.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But at Green Bay is actually in London. So, hey, maybe there's like a 5% chance we win that game.
Yeah. It worked for Urban Meyer, right? He got his first win.
Right. Weird things happen in London games.
Yeah.
I don't think any teams had a bigger improvement on their offensive coaching staff from last year to this year than going from Jason Garrett and Joe Judge deciding that, and this was not Garrett, he was gone by then. Joe Judge being like, hey, man, 2nd and long, 3rd and long, QB sneaks. Let's go. Those guys are gone. Brian Daboll, Mike Kafka, who's coming from Kansas City, they're in charge now. That's a huge improvement. Evan Neal's now manning right tackle, so there's a chance we'll actually have 2 decent tackles. My issue is, and then, of course, if Daniel Jones gets hurt, Tyrod Taylor's there, so at least it won't be as Jake Fromm. No, that was the bottom of the barrel. The problem is,
I was going to say, I've already insulted 85% of Virginia. I'm not going to jump on Tyrod. I'm not going to do it.
I mean, listen, I'm not saying Tyrod's great. He's not the answer, but can he be passable for the 2 or 3 games that Daniel Jones inevitably misses? Yes. The problem is Daniel Jones will still probably miss some games. The offensive line, even if the tackles are better, someone's going to get hurt. Daniel Jones is going to get sacked, strip fumble to lose a game. Kenny Galladay still can't separate. Kadarius Toney can't stay on the field. If everyone stays on the field, there's a chance. That hasn't happened in like 10 years.
A chance for what? To be competitive?
I think this could be a league average offense, which is like not, again, the sky is.
Can I get Tony? Can I get Tony or Galladay from you? I feel like when they get off the Giants, they're gonna get off. They're gonna play so well when they're not with you.
By the time Galladay is out, he's gonna be like 31, and it's gonna be over for him. Like, this is it. He either comes back this year, or it's over for him. Tony, sure. If Tony might end up, if Tony played for the Niners, that's perfect for him. Perfect for you guys.
How has Evan Neal looked in preseason?
A lot better in game 2 than game 1. Okay. Still a couple rough,
still leaning on people, thinking that's enough.
There's going to be struggles. I mean,
He's not my boy Icky. You're right. He's not Icky. It's cool. I haven't actually seen anybody say anything about Icky.
I haven't seen anything about Icky either. That's
which I guess is good if you don't hear anything. But I thought Evan Neal, you could have did better.
Even if everyone stays healthy, the problem is now we've got the king of the blitzes running our defense, and we have one good cornerback. That's not going to work. Like, even if everybody's healthy, I don't trust Aaron Robinson to be the second corner on this team. We're going to get burned by number 2 wide receivers all year. Whoever Adoree Jackson is not covering is going to go off. So, best case scenario, the offense is functional. The defense, the second corners aren't god awful. And maybe we win 7 or 8. I think it's a 5 or 6 win team. I say slam the Giants. Do a parlay. Give me the Eagles over, Giants under. Raking the money.
Is this a filibuster or are we talking football? Because you said a lot of things to say that we're not a good team.
I want people to know, like, here's the reasons to be optimistic about your team, and then
there's no reason to be optimistic about anybody in this sorry ass division unless you're Eagles or Cowboys fan. There's no reason. No reason to be optimistic.
Realistically, again, Giants, you should be optimistic 2 or 3 years from now, hopefully.
Your highest draft pick is already injured.
He's gonna miss 1 game at most. It's fine.
It's just the start of things to come. This is you know it too. You know it too.
Again, I'm optimistic 3 years from now when one of the QBs from this year's class is helping us, and we have a bunch of money because we're not paying a QB, and an actual front office is paying people. Then I'll be excited. Washington's screwed because Dan Snyder's never leaving and never going to stop making mistakes. So
this guy gets one Ritter highlight and now he's talking. Get out of here. Get out of here. So yeah, NFC East, we're done with that. You guys heard my rant, and Giants make the playoffs this year. And whew, man. All right, AFC East.
Yeah, he told me that too.
He's drunk.
Keith,
AFC
I hope
East.
you're right, but you're wrong.
You're definitely wrong. AFC East. We are over in the AFC East.
Now we get to talk about an actual Super Bowl contender.
Was that a punchline?
No, I'm saying like we actually, after talking about the East, we're like we like the Eagles, but I don't think either of us is like that team could win the Super Bowl.
Now let me stop. I gotta support my boy Josh Allen. You're right. I mean,
why would that be a joke? Why would the Bills?
Because it's a tough situation for me to be in, and we were going to talk about the Bills first anyway because we both had the Bills. But it's a tough situation for me because I love the quarterback. I hate the coach. You guys know that. Everybody who's been in the group has known since he started coaching in Buffalo. It went from is this guy to this coach is stupid to he's holding Josh Allen back. And
I mean, he did.
I don't think any of them are actually true.
Nathan Peterman once, so that was an interesting move.
Yeah, that was awful.
I don't think
it takes more. Hold on. It takes more than having a soft schedule, Keith. You got a first-year coach. You got a quarterback who's pretty much been labeled a bust. A running back I love Saquon, but he's pretty much been labeled a bust too. Two receivers that don't want to play on the team anymore. One of them is always hurt. It doesn't matter how soft the schedule is. They're going to be in cover 0 36% of the time because we've already seen that.
That's honestly my main thing.
With no talent. They don't have the talent to play cover 1, 2, 3, 6, 4, whatever you want to throw the numbers out. They don't have the talent. They just don't have the talent. And then they've got a coaching staff that, Dabo, I'll give him some time. But as far as like the coordinators and stuff he's got with them, man, it's gonna be rough. And
I like Kafka. That was actually like my ideal guy when I was thinking like who could we get as the OC? I was like, get somebody from Kansas City. He should have been the offensive coordinator in Kansas City 2 years ago, but no one would hire Eric Bieniemy.
Nobody will hire my boy Eric B.
Like Kafka would have been the offensive coordinator in Kansas City. So if he's good enough for Andy Reid, he's good enough for me, which again, apparently people don't feel that way about Bieniemy, but
I know. The Bills, I actually have two questions.
I think this was the best team in the NFL last year.
At times, yes. At times, yes.
They lost 5 games. They lost 5 regular season games by 1 score, and then their loss in the playoffs was obviously by 1 score, as we all know. So they were in like every game.
If they could get more, you're gonna shake your head, but I'm telling you, if they could get more out of their running game at times, I feel like that would have helped push them over the hump. Because anytime
it would have.
Yeah, but anytime, yeah,
or the defense just not choking.
Yeah, this is the window. This is definitely the window. You could call that a choke for sure. Yeah, This was the number 1 defense in the NFL throughout the regular season, and then they couldn't get any stops in the end of the fourth quarter, let alone with fucking 13 seconds. I think they would be better served if Josh Allen didn't have the ball in his hands 99.9% of the time. Like if they could, like think about the games where clock management would have really helped to just get the 3 yards the hard way rather than throwing the ball and having to stop the clock.
Well, and it was bad because Josh Allen became their key guy to run the ball in pretty much every big situation. One of the games they lost was I think it was the Titans got a 4th and 1 stop on Allen. Yeah. So, he was running the ball like crazy in that Kansas City game. So, yeah, it would be great if one of these I know Keith is all about James Cook, unsurprisingly, because Georgia. But, if they can get a little bit of a running game going, although it's not just the running backs, the offensive line is probably the biggest weakness on this team. They just traded away Cody Ford because that was a bad draft pick that they blew. So, Roger Saffold's there now. Maybe that makes it better. But Spencer Brown's a pretty big question mark at right tackle. 49.1 grade pass blocking on PFF last year. So if that continues, that's one of the reasons why Josh Allen took a step back, which RC mentioned in his comment. But I think Allen has a kind of a bounce back. He was still good last year, but I think the playoffs kind of disguised for a lot of people that he was not as good as he was the year before in the regular season. He was amazing in the playoffs. So if he gets back to like legitimately, he could be at an MVP level. I think Gabe Davis is going to be a great fantasy guy for doing that because I think him and Diggs are awesome. Yeah, I think this team wins at least 12 games because I have some pretty big question marks about everyone else in this division. Again, I think this team should have won like 13 games last year, and 2 plays go differently in like 5 different games, and they do win 13. I mean, they lost to the Patriots because they played in a blizzard, a literal blizzard. Otherwise, they win that game. They're clearly better than the Patriots.
I think they lost that game because their coach is stupid. Both of them, actually. The Patriots literally ran the same guy. They ran the same play. Like, they literally kept running the same play.
Right, and that wouldn't have worked if there wasn't in the blizzard. It barely worked.
If they won't a little soft that game, I think that's what it was. Because the Patriots went big on the line and just bullied them.
That has been kind of the one issue with that defense. Well, outside
they're undersized. I will say that. For like, if you look at their front, if you look in their secondary, just generally all around as a unit, that defense is a little undersized.
Yeah, it's like I like Ed Oliver much better pass rushing up the middle than he is at stopping the run. Same with Daquan Jones.
Yeah,
Von Miller. I mean, that contract might look bad in a couple of years. I think it's going to be a big help this year with that pass rush. Though
I'm skeptical. Toughest non-division games, and we'll get off the Bills here in a second. But the path to the 1 seed, like Ronnie was talking about, they need to get the 1 seed.
Yeah, if they get the 1 seed.
The formula is there, and the Patriots used to do this: beat up on your sorry division, and let the other teams kind of take themselves out at the top. You know, they've got 3 tough games though. They've got week 1 in LA against the Rams, and then week 6 they're in Kansas City against the Chiefs, and then they host the Bengals in week 17. So it's not; those are probably the 3 toughest out of division games you'll probably find on a schedule. I think.
I mean, what did you mention at Baltimore? That's a good one.
No, I didn't even mention at Baltimore.
Now, granted, none of those teams are the team they'll be playing in the AFC Championship, but that's another discussion.
Yeah, it seems like it should be another discussion. All right. Next up is a team that is near and dear to all of us, the Dolphins.
I didn't know which one would be next up.
No, I mean, I know you don't think the Patriots are the second best team in that division.
I have no idea because I have no idea what the Patriots are doing with their offense. Because
you have an idea. You literally watched it already.
All right. I'm just saying you got Matt Patricia or Joe Judge calling
plays. If anybody has an idea, you have an idea, because I can tell you, and I know people are probably like, you don't know football, you just at home. Bro, Matt Patricia don't know offense, man. He don't. That's not his thing. He hardly knows defense without Bill being around. So that's not his thing. There ain't been one coach that came from Bill's tree that has been worth the damn, and people won't talk about it.
But that's worth a damn outside of when they're working with Bill Belichick. That's the only reason I'm not 100% out on this, because I'm like, I'm not going to totally be out on this.
Do you think Bill knows offense, or was that Josh McDaniels and Tom Brady?
I mean, obviously, Tom Brady's the most important part. I think that's but I think Bill knows offense, yeah.
You think Bill can coach up Patricia and Judge to call plays? Because I don't think Bill thinks he can. That's why he's having them alternate.
I mean, I assume Bill's in on every play call. Like, if he wants to overrule something, I think that it happens. So, I don't know. I'm not all out.
I am the biggest Brady hater, and I 100% agree. Ain't worth the damn without Brady. Offensively, none of them are, man. None of them. You know, we had this. We used to have these discussions all the time. And it's got the proof. The proof is there, man. It was the players more than it was the coaching. It's there.
They made the playoffs last year with a rookie QB. Like
they made the playoffs because everybody else sucked, and the Colts of all people were just absolutely like terrible. They like literally.
That's why the Raiders got in. That's not why the Patriots got in, though.
But I'm just saying in general, like they're not
good.
Well,
Belichick is the greatest coach of all time. He also had the greatest QB of all time.
He's not the greatest coach of all time.
I think he is. But if you're saying you can have 20 years of Belichick or 20 years of Brady, yeah, I'll take 20 years of Brady. Like, I'm not arguing that.
Bill Walsh is the greatest coach of all time.
I mean, I don't feel like we need to argue it. You're going to say that as a Niners fan, and
I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that as a person who likes coaching.
It's totally reasonable.
It has take the Niner fandom out of it. Take the Niner fandom out of it.
It's the greatest offensive.
If you can create a system, revolutionize the league, literally revolutionize the league. There are elements of Bill Walsh's system still going on today. The man has a tree that can be traced back from 30 fucking years. Belichick can't even get his damn son to be a coach in the NFL, man. He's poison, literally poison. People give this man so much credit for so many things that they criticize other people for. He's not
Bill Walsh also had a guy named Joe Montana who was
he's not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He coached Joe up. When Joe left, that system stayed. Steve Young came. It still won. That can be you can point to over 70% of the goddamn league that still runs West Coast offense elements that Bill Walsh created that still work today. Bill's offense has West Coast offensive concepts in it, and it still fucking works. He dominated the league for 20 years with those kind of concepts. What has Bill done for the league? What has Bill done for the game? What does Bill do to make him the greatest coach of all time besides win? It has to be more than just winning. Coaches are like teachers, though. If you taught a class and people left and they actually didn't do anything, didn't provide for society, didn't give back, are you really a good teacher? No, you're worthless. That's the same way I look at coaching. If you coach for 20 years and you can't find one fucking coach, look at Sean McVay. He's half his age and he's already got 3 coaches. 3 coaches. And 2 of them are winners. One of them just took a team with Joe Burrow and no offensive line to the fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Again, how is he the greatest coach?
I understand all of this. But here's the thing about Bill Belichick. His whole thing is adaptability. That's his strength.
That's great, and he is good at that. He can be the greatest at adjustment.
Repeatable, because all these other guys think, "Oh, I watched him. I know when to change things up."
There you go.
I can be a hard
contribution right there.
They don't have it. He is. Listen, if you want to say like overall effect on the league, 100% it's Bill Walsh. No argument there. But I'm saying if you can give, like, if I just get any random roster, I think I'd rather have Belichick because I think he is more adaptable. Now, we don't need to talk about this because this is actually a preview of the season. We'll just suffice to say a coach named Bill is the greatest coach of all time, one way or the other.
Yeah, that's we can agree with that. A coach named Bill. And I apologize. I apologize to everybody who heard that because I really am sick and tired of the fuck. I've waited so long for the Patriots to be exactly what I thought they would be without Tom Brady and for this exposure. I would enjoy it more if Brady was more exposed, but he's not, and that's fine. I can live with that. But the organization and Bill have been, to me, exposed as they're obviously winning consistently that long should be admired. That's great, but they are not the gods that you thought they were. They are human like us. They bleed, and I'm happy to see it. And again, I don't give a damn how many he can win 100 Super Bowls. If he can't give me one winning NFL coach from his staff, he's not the greatest coach of all time. That's my standard. I need at least one. At least one. If you're such a good coach, why is nobody else around you doing anything? What are you coaching them?
I will also admit to a little bit of bias because obviously he was the defensive coordinator on some giant Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, well yeah, I figured that was it. And I respect him for his contributions for that, and he's good at that. But and again, to give him credit, he is a great adjuster, mastermind at that shit. But he's also got a losing record against this team, the Dolphins, which we were talking about.
That's true. The Dolphins inexplicably will always beat the Patriots once.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Why? But here's my thing. The real reason I wasn't sure who was coming next, more than anything to do with the Patriots, the Dolphins are the team I have the least idea of how good they are. If this team, if you told me this team will win 5 games, I'd be like, sure, I can see it. And you're like, they'll win 11 games, and I'd still finish behind the Bills, but they'll be the top wild card in the AFC. I'd be like, yeah, sure, I can see that too. Like, I mean, we've got a first-year head coach who was also a first-year offensive coordinator last year. So granted, he was the passing game coordinator, and again, he didn't even call plays though because it was Shanahan's team.
Isn't this the most ridiculous thing you've ever read? No, Jeff. No. Micah Parsons is not the best defensive player in the league.
The best defensive player in the league has been the same answer for like 7 straight years.
Number 99, man. Like,
I'm not changing right now.
Yeah, I don't know what else to tell you. So yeah, the Mike Daniels is a
Mike McDaniels, who
so
he seems like a fun guy. Is he a good coach? I don't know.
So I will say this: he seems like from what he was doing in San Francisco and how Kyle and him operated. I would have the utmost faith in him knowing how to draw up an offense and execute.
Yeah.
I feel
if someone else had hired him as an offensive coordinator so that he could call plays, I'd be all in on that hire. I'd be like, this is awesome. Shanahan took him from the Browns all the way back when Shanahan was the Browns offensive coordinator. He's been with Shanahan at every stop. So clearly,
I have faith in that.
It's the other parts of coaching.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, does he need a little more Dan Campbell in him? I don't know, maybe.
So my let's see what he says. Hold on real quick. The Dolphins were one of the worst teams after the coach last year, according to Football Outsiders.
After the catch, yeah. So that would obviously be a huge change this year if you're putting in that offense and you're adding Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, and my biggest question for this is Flores it seemed like Flores was a good motivator. Like he had a lot of respect from those players.
I don't think there's whatever you want to say about Flores. Like, was he bad with the QB? He had different offensive coordinators every year.
Yeah.
That team, like the start of last year was the only time they ever underachieved, and then they overachieved over the second half, so it evened out. Like they were definitely, their record should have been worse. Stephen Ross apparently wishes it had been worse over tenure.
Will they miss Flores's presence as a defense, like as a defensive unit? Because in my mind, this is a team. If you look at the AFC East, the Bills have always struggled to beat the Patriots. The Dolphins have always struggled to beat the Bills, but the Dolphins can beat the Patriots. And like it's like these kind of like weird scenarios where certain teams match up in certain ways. I think that the X factor is the defensive play of the Dolphins and the Bills. Yeah. So will this defense be able to come through when they need to most, when they play one of the more prolific offenses like the Buffalo Bills? Because I feel like there's so much focus on their offensive acquisition of Tyreek, but can you get stops? Because that's what it's gonna come down to.
I will say they did retain Josh Boyer, who was the defensive coordinator the last 2 years. So the team shouldn't be changing, but I do think, do you wonder about the motivation? Because I think that is an underrated aspect of being a coach. The other thing is about Tyreek Hill and Waddle. Again, with this scheme, I'm not worried about Tua having to throw 50-yard bombs.
Nah.
Because it's going to be a lot of, just get the guys the ball in space and let them be fast.
Yeah, they're going to get open. You're gonna that's not going to be an issue.
It's not an issue for those guys without this scheme. So in this scheme, I do think, it could be really good. Tua could be a top 10 fantasy quarterback. We might be like, Tua is the answer. Miami had nothing to worry about. Again, the good news for Tua is, unlike Hurts, Miami lost a first-round pick because of Stephen Ross and his infractions. So they don't even have a first-round pick next year. So Tua he's good. Like he's the starter next year unless something goes terrible. But I guess I'm leaning towards you're right. This is probably the second best team because they take a step forward on offense. The Patriots probably take a step back on offense, going from McDaniels to Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. So I'll say I'm with you. I still don't know if this is a playoff team for me, though. I think again, the AFC is pretty deep. You've got the entire AFC West. You've got the Bengals. I kind of think Bengals, Ravens, and 3 teams from the West is kind of how this breaks down in the end. But again, if Miami wins 11, I won't be surprised. But there's always a chance Mike McDaniel is not ready to be a head coach, and this team ends up winning 6 games.
We will see. And again, I think that's like a fair assessment. Patriots overrated. Can't wait to see them.
I forgot to add. This is the division that gets the tough tough opponents. Miami's going, again, from outsiders' projections from the 27th schedule to the second most difficult schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So that's obviously an issue.
Yeah, no, I already told you who the Bills are playing. So especially out of division, it doesn't get easy for them either. Patriots, like who's calling plays? I think that's the biggest story. I don't think they're that talented, and I think everybody would agree with that.
See, that's why I still say Belichick's a good coach, because I agree with you. I don't think this is that talented of a team. I do think one big change they made on defense that will probably help is they got rid of all the older, slower, kind of bigger linebackers that they had, who got heavily exposed in that playoff game. So they're going a lot speedier at linebacker. But that spending spree they went on a year ago, where they were like, we got to give 2 tight ends a bunch of money. We've got to give Nelson Aguilar a bunch of money. That's the reason J.C. Jackson is not on this team anymore. He's on the Chargers, which, again, great job, Chargers. But, yeah, when you lose the guy who was graded as the 5th best cover corner on PFF, that's a pretty big issue for your defense, especially when you're a defense that runs as much man as the Patriots do. I know they started running a little more zone last year, but this is still one of the most man-heavy teams in the NFL. And now I don't really trust their corners that much. I think they're okay. I don't think it'll be a disaster. But, yeah, I think overall this is a team that looks like they'll take a step back kind of across the board. And so, yeah, I think this is probably like an 8-win team.
I think they're overrated. I think Mac Jones is going to have some real issues because he don't know who calling the plays either. I don't know what else to say other than there's too much optimism from Patriot fans.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I know, granted, 2 years ago we saw what can happen when you don't have Tom Brady, but I get why you'd be optimistic if you're a Patriots fan, because
they're not a top 10 team, and you need to be at least 7 to get into the playoffs.
Yeah,
they're not
a top 10 team in the NFL, but I think they're a top 10 team in the AFC East.
So I wouldn't say the Patriots imploded. I would say that what happened was they went up against teams that they couldn't out scheme because the talent gap was too wide.
Yeah, the talent, and again, to be fair, that is on Belichick because he runs everything. Yeah, so that's on him that this team is not as talented as you like. Again, there's a reason he's the trade down king, and that's because he's not actually great at just individual picks. He's smart enough to know that, but it hurts. I mean, when you just continually miss at wide receiver, that's why you end up paying Nelson Aguilar. They did bring in Devontae Parker, who's actually a decent wide receiver, gives them a contested catch guy. That helps. But again, if McDaniels were still here, I would have more optimism because I actually do think he's a good play caller. So, and then this was also a team that over the second half of the year, no team was running the ball more in neutral situations. So first, second down, no one's up a lot, no one's down a lot. They were running the ball a lot.
They were playing field position because their quarterback wasn't that great.
And
just
if you want
to that out there,
and you can believe in Mac Jones, he was the best rookie quarterback, and last year among a hyped group that obviously underachieved their rookie years. But it's hard to I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a lot better because he's going to have Doug Peterson and an actual NFL head coach now. Whereas this is the reverse. This is going from you're going from a guy who might, again, you can argue it was mostly Brady, but McDaniels is a smart offensive coordinator. And now you're going to 2 failed head coaches whose combined, I think, coaching on offense is like a year each. I know Patricia was when he first entered the league, when he was a low-level assistant, he was on an offensive analyst or something. And then Joe Judge had 1 year as a receivers coach.
That sounds painful. And then he got hired as a head coach, didn't he?
I mean, he was also the special teams coordinator. Okay. But which again, someone hire my man Dave Tube from Kansas City. Hire him and Bieniemy. Get those guys; they deserve it.
I don't understand how Eric B can't get a job, and this dude Joe Judge got a head coaching job.
I mean, and then Matt Patricia, the guy who wears a pencil in his ear every game, even though everything he's working with is laminated or electronic. So what is that even about?
Oh man. Yes, the weapons are not that great, but you know what? I'm not gonna lie. There was a time when the Patriots didn't have the best weapons, and they were still able to find ways to win games. I don't know what changed.
I mean,
that is a good question.
The other thing too is what's his? I'm trying to remember his name. The offensive line coach, who's like the offensive line coach all time. Mm-hmm. It's like Scarnecchia, I want to say. He's retired. He retired a few years back, came back, and then the offensive line got way better again because he is the greatest offensive line coach in history. He's gone, and they didn't replace him with Mike Munchak, who's like the next best offensive line coach. So, if you're telling me the offensive line is going to be not as good, and then you're telling me the play calling is not going to be as good, sorry, Mac Jones, tough luck there, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know what. Honestly, as much as I prey on some people's downfalls, I don't like to see rookie quarterbacks in a flux like this. It's a delicate time when you're bringing in a rookie quarterback and you've got multiple offensive coordinators, and then you've got, in his case, two guys who really don't know much about developing an offense. And Bill can only do so much as a coach, even though I just completely went after him. It's true, he can only do so much as one coach, and it just kind of bothers me that I don't know if it's arrogance or just too much confidence in the people around him. Why this wasn't addressed? How could he not have found an offensive coordinator?
Why didn't Bill O'Brien come back or something?
Why didn't Bill O'Brien come back?
Would
you leave Bryce Young to go coach Mac Jones in the league?
That's fair, I guess.
I know, right? Next year, I'm your guy. But
the other thing too about Patricia and Judge is you're like, well, who'd they hire as their offensive coordinators? It's Darrell Bevel, who not great. I mean, he was the Jags offensive coordinator.
Oh, sorry.
And then obviously freaking Jason Garrett.
There we go. Is that good enough for you, Keith?
So that doesn't build faith either. It's when these guys had the chance to choose people to run their offenses, they didn't do a good job choosing.
It's a lot of. We probably spent too much time on this team.
Again,
they're not going to make the playoffs this year.
My caveat is I'm not, because I do trust Bill Belichick. I think that there's a chance it works. Am I skeptical? Yes, but I'm not 100%. There's no way.
On a scale of 1 to 10, since you like numbers, sir, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you?
A 3.5.
I was gonna say, if you say anything over 5, you're a liar.
4 is the highest I could go because, it sounds crazy, and the only reason it's not a 1 or a 2 is because it's Bill Belichick.
That's fair. And then a team that again didn't really take notes for. I gave them more notes than I gave everybody else. Can the Jets stay healthy? What is their ceiling?
I mean, well, they're already not healthy because Zach Wilson is hurt, and I think probably at least going to miss game 1. It sounds like. So we get to see Joe Flacco one more time, which is great if your fantasy defense is playing him. I honestly like the skill guys. I think Elijah Moore was breaking out right before he got hurt last year. Mm-hmm. I think Garrett Wilson might be the best receiver in this class. He's definitely up there. A guy you can get the ball and can just do things, so that's helpful for young QB. I'm not sure why you would draft Breece Hall in the second round if you're a team with as many needs as the Jets and you drafted Michael Carter the year before. But I think Breece Hall is really good. But again, they've already lost the guy they want to be their franchise left tackle. He's already hurt. The quarterback's already hurt. So there's already issues there. Defensively, I think there's some optimism that year 2, Salah is going to get this defense close to average at least. Mm-hmm. But if the offense is still a disaster, it doesn't really matter. And Zach Wilson is honestly the rookie QB. I'm not counting Mills because fine, if people want to believe in Mills, go for it. But out of the guys who were first-round QBs last year, Wilson's the one I'm most concerned about in the future. I think he was the worst last year in honestly a better situation than a couple of the other guys. We saw Mike White throw for 400 yards.
I was about to say, free Mike White.
when the offense looked better with Mike White, I have some real concerns about the quarterback that they got. And again, already hurt. So if Zach Wilson turns the corner a little bit, gives people reason for optimism, that's all you're really hoping for as a Jets fan. And then maybe this team wins like 6 games. But I'm not optimistic. I think outside of outside of the Texans, this is probably the worst team in the
AFC. MyBookie.ag is our sponsor. Make sure you go to MyBookie.ag, type in IB Sports, and that is where you will find the lines. The Jets are at over under 5.5, so your call of 6 was very fair.
That's a reasonable mark. Again, that's probably closer to where the Giants should be too. But for me, this is an under. I think it's going to be bad. I think it's a 4 or 5 win team.
Under is plus 135.
Great, give me the money
there.
Go through the others,
yeah. I'm doubling back. The Patriots, I do believe they were at 8.5.
That's the right number for them. If I had to guess,
they can't win half a game though. So
they could though, because what if they go 8-1?
Then you don't win your.
What if they're the Steelers disappointed me last year by not finishing 8-1? Let's do it, Patriots. 8-1. I'm saying bet on the 8.5. Let's do it. Give me odds on that.
The over is minus 121. The under is minus 101. I'm taking the under. I think they're at best an 8-win team, and that's being optimistic.
I'm staying away from them and the Dolphins on this.
Dolphins are at 8.5,
which is again a team I have no idea what they'll be. So 8.5 makes sense. I am staying far away from that.
You're scared. Have you not heard that Tua is throwing the best ball that people have ever seen? He's even on par with Patty Mahomes. This has got to be an over.
He's looking like Dan Marino, right?
Yeah, right. I'm not touching that either.
According to the Dolphins Twitter account.
Yeah. Anytime I get a first year coach, if I'm betting the over under and I feel like it could go over, I'll just not bet it because that's just asking too much from some of these guys. And then we didn't do the Bills. I think the Bills are like 9 or 10.
No, I've seen
11.5. Sorry, 11.5
is tied with the Bucks for the highest over under of any team. Over. This is my favorite one out of all 4 of these. Give me the over. Granted, you're a Josh Allen injury away from losing this bet, but I think this is the team, the front runner for the 1 seed in the AFC, because the West teams have to play each other. The Bengals and Ravens have to play each other, and the Steelers are always frisky. Deshaun comes back for some division games. The Bills are in the best spot to get the 1 seed, and you're not getting the 1 seed unless you win 12 games. So give me the over. I like how I'm now like the bigger Bills believer among us. This is a great reversal.
I've never liked the coach. It's not my guy Josh. It's the coach. Rams, Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens. You got to win 3 of those 4 if you're gonna get to 12.
Why? Just go 2-2, and then what's that? Then 10-3 the rest of the way. Is that math right? Yeah, because it's the 17 games. I gotta think about it now. Yeah, go 10-3 on the rest of the schedule. Again, this division. Jets should be a sweep automatically.
Yeah.
Honestly, again, unless they play the Patriots in the freaking blizzard, that should be a sweep. Drop 1 to the Dolphins, maybe. All right, we're 5-1 division. We're in a great spot. So give it to me. Ravens and Bills. Those are my big overs so far because I believe both those teams are winning those divisions. The Bills are cruising to this division.
And we got this jinx talking about Super Bowl. Oh my God. It's funny to see people praising Josh Allen and the Bills when 3 years ago they called me a nut job, told me he wasn't accurate. And here I have my guy, Ronnie and Joe.
He wasn't accurate though. That was just
what makes you accurate? Having a guy whose catch radius is about 15 yards either direction. That's going to make you accurate.
It helps.
He's at least 6% more accurate when he's got Diggs on his team. He wasn't, but he is. Now, doesn't matter what he was. We're looking at what he is now.
What's your Ken Dorsey take? Because obviously he's taking over the play calling on offense. because he's been the QB coach the last 3 years. Now
he's a former Hurricane. He sucks. That's what my take is. Ken Dorsey's actually from the Hurricane teams that I should hate.
Yeah, the ones that actually won stuff.
The ones that actually won stuff. Why didn't they get the death penalty? That's for the college show. I'll leave that alone. But
the last 10 years have been a lot more fun for you with them not getting the death penalty.
Yeah, I'm optimistic on Dorsey. I'm optimistic on all the young minds that get a chance to work with young QBs because I feel like they take a different approach to things and they're more willing to work with the skill set that their quarterback has or try to work with the skill set that their quarterback has than some of these Greg Romans out here. I appreciate that these guys are getting the opportunity and I always try to go in optimistic and assume that they're going to do what's best for the player, especially when they get somebody as talented as Josh Allen. If you're a young offensive coordinator and you get an Allen, a Herbert, a Patty Mahomes, a Dak, any of these guys that are young, like that should be fine. That's a little racist, buddy. Dirty skill sets. I mean, if we being real, Lamar clean up better than these light-skinned dudes that y'all be hyping up. That's all I'm saying. Shoot. Stop treating that man like he looked like Durant. All right. So this has been the AFC NFC East podcast. We do have a special announcement. Joe will not be with us Sunday. He just texted me and said that he didn't like the way I talked to him about Belichick, so he is out for Sunday.
But I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, go ahead and get it out.
Chargers are winning the division. Lock it in. Winning the division.
Absolutely.
Raiders, I'm sorry, you're finishing last. Tough one. Team will be better this year, but actually finish worse. It's one of those weird things that happens sometimes. NFC West. I don't know about your team. Your team's kind of the big.
What is there to know? You already know what it is.
Well, the defense will be good. Will the offense be the best offense in the league, or will it be
the offense will be
first offense in the league? I don't know.
Will be way better with a quarterback that can throw the ball down the field. Now, how accurate he is when he throws it, I don't know, but at least people will understand he can throw 60 yards. But
I'm not going to say anything about the Cardinals so that I can, whatever happens to them, I can claim I predicted it later.
Oh, they're gonna be failures. I can't wait. But about this Chargers take, real quick. About this Chargers take, are you ready to see all those 4th and 1, 4th and 2s?
Yes.
Become non-conversions again?
No. What do you mean? A lot of them were conversions.
Your boy Staley blinked and it showed his weakness. He can overthink. I think that's a fault.
Everyone else is underthinking.
I mean, you could call it what you want to call it, but he had his opportunity. He blinked.
The Chargers' biggest weaknesses last year, they addressed all.
You don't want him, Richard.
They improved the offensive line. They get brought in actual defensive tackles.
Yeah, they improved. Hopefully,
J.C. Jackson, again, the 5th best cover corner in the NFL, went from the Patriots to the Chargers.
They paid the best safety in the game.
Now my guy has the defense he actually wants that can run his scheme correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Justin Herbert now getting his 2nd year in this scheme. Sky's the limit. Bills, Chargers, AFC Championship. Lock it in. I don't know which one I'm picking yet. I'm going to save that for the last preseason podcast, but lock it in. Those two. Let's go.
Chargers are not winning the division. We're going to put that out there now. They're not. They're a good team. But they're not. No. As long as
over 10.5 over. Lock it in.
You said what?
Lock it in over 10.5.
Who, the Chargers?
Yeah, lock it in.
Oh, yeah. You could probably lock that in. But Sebastian Mahali, I think is what we call him. Anyway, our very own FBI agent will be in person. Actually, you guys don't know, Sebastian's pretty famous. He's like a rock star in Peru. It's not even a joke. Like, you could look him up on YouTube. Can't understand anything they're saying if you don't speak Spanish, but he's been on The Voice and he's got his own like little group that he sings with and stuff.
How did I not know any of this stuff?
What? That we made an announcement about it when I think he finished 2nd. like in the nation. Like, yeah, it was a big deal. Ronnie even said something about it. Like, but yeah, he's
replacement.
Now he's actually talented, and I'm hoping that he'll make an announcement and we can get more than like 20 people to watch this. That'd be great.
That'd be good.
Yeah,
the one show I'm not on. We'll get
I know, right? you might get pushed out. Hot hand. We're gonna hot hand you. He's top 5. Okay, top 5. Man, that's not that's better than what I would have had.
That's legit. Yeah, I would be 0.
Yo, get out of here, bro. My man Tyron Smith is still good. Look, all he gotta do is get his hands
he's
on
real good when he's on the field. That's the whole problem.
He don't need knees. He just needs to get his hands on you, okay? Everybody else on the Cowboys line is holding except for Zach Martin, so it'll be fine. But yeah, so this has been the NFL recap show edition for the AFC NFC East. When the season starts in a couple weeks, we will go back and have our Sunday show with me, Ronnie, Corey, and then me and Joe will bump down to either Monday nights before Monday Night Football or Tuesdays. We haven't figured it out yet. And I will still work on trying to do analysis with all 22s and talk about certain situations, which I'm pretty sure people will find that fun because you're really big into analytics and don't punt. And you'll stop and be like, this is a 30% chance of success rate here. And I'll just be like, man, shut up and just run the fucking ball. So it should be interesting for everybody. All-Star members, if you are part of our premium All-Star service, you can get all of my bets. NFL, last year I finished 56%. Even if you don't bet with me, it's still some good info. 56% is not good enough to hit the board in the super contest. I need to get that up about 14%.
It is good enough to make money, though.
It's good enough to make money, but I need a Stefan Diggs to put me over the top here with my NFL picks. NFL is hard, man. If you're in there right now, I've been absolutely killing it in baseball this month. Unfortunately, the second play today did not hit with Vlad Guerrero, but everybody who's in there is now probably a low-key meteorologist because I have broken down dew points and humidity and how that affects the flight of the ball. And we all know that anytime it's over 80 degrees, we just take the over in Colorado no matter what. We don't even ask questions. And that has been undefeated this month, taking the over in these day games. So some free information for you guys there. Feel free to jump into my DMs. And if you need any info on like any players, like if you want me to look at somebody and give my feedback on anything, I do have the NFL Plus. It's trash, but it's still there. And then always find Joe. I forgot. Let me take this off so you can see his Twitter handle here.
No, I didn't put it.
Oh, you didn't put it on there? Oh my God. We just can't get through this thing. You're fired. But again, for the IBN Network, this is IBS Yeezus or IBN Yeezus and Joe the Brain Matz. We'll catch you guys next week.